Okay, we are getting started to public special episode, a Saturday episode of Public Trust Review, and we're going to jump right into it with talking about today's all about grading. We're going to be grading some of the things that we saw over this past week or 2 weeks. We're going to be talking about how people responded to the report that came out, the grand jury report. And Tom, I'm going to let you talk about what approach did you take when coming up with these grades that you gave?
Okay, so in coming up with the grades, I went back to the Code of Fair Campaign Practices, which we talked about earlier in the week. This is a set of promises that all the candidates have signed. It's a voluntary set of promises. And we're holding people accountable for keeping these promises with the grades. And particularly, there are 3 of them that we're paying attention to. The first one is that basically says I'm going to focus on the issues and focus on the policies, my policies and those of my opponent. The second one says, but I'm doing that, I'm focusing on policies, but I shall not use or permit the use of character defamation, whispering campaigns, libel, slander, or scurrilous attacks. That means I need to I need to tell the truth and make sure that my supporters are also telling the truth. And then the third one is one that a lot of people don't know about, but it says that if there's a third party, like an independent expenditure committee, and even though you don't coordinate with them as a candidate, once you see what they're doing, if they're putting out material that doesn't follow your values, this says I will immediately and publicly repudiate the support that I'm getting from them or the way that they're opposing my opponent, because I'm following a set of standards that are California standards of decency, honesty, and fair play.
And to be clear about what that means is you can't stop free speech. No one can. I mean, that is what free speech is about. But if you hear something that's counter to what your belief system is or what you believe is accurate or correct, you are compelled to challenge that or say, you know what, this is not my language. I don't support that. This is not true. Is that an accurate?
That's right. Yes.
So you can't stop the independent expenditures. No one's saying you can stop free speech, but what you can do is you can then report on it yourself and say, I don't agree with what is being said about me in the public. Yep. Okay, let's go to the first one up. First one up is the grand jury report.
Yeah, the grand jury report is remarkable in many ways, but it has a couple of flaws, I think. One is the title, which I think plays down the material that's actually in the report. So, I mean, this is more than just unsportsmanlike conduct. The other thing is the grand jury is not required to interview everybody, but I think in this case, they probably should have interviewed more of the council members than they have. But none of that takes away from the incredible job they did and the reporting that they did and the 18 recommendations that we talked about yesterday. So
and the grade you gave them was?
I gave them an A-.
Okay.
Because that, yeah. So
that's why. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next item. Councilmember Becker, candidate for mayor.
Yeah. So the thing with this is pretty consistent with what Councilmember Becker has been saying about the mayor and about the grand jury report. The problem with this, I find, is it really engages in character defamation unless there's some proof for some of these statements that are being made toward the bottom, for instance. So the whole thing about the grand jury report, instead of correcting what he says is wrong with it, he, in this press release, mostly goes about attacking the mayor. Well, I think we want to know what are the facts that were not in the report that should have been. So,
and it seems like he's attacking the grand jury too. I mean, it's not just the mayor.
Yeah, attacking the grand jury.
Yeah, grand jury and also, and associating it with the mayor.
Yeah, and missing the opportunity that this presents to really take a good hard look at how the council is being perceived outside. Because public trust is based on a perception of people's ethics. So
and the grade you gave them?
I gave them a D.
D.
I gave, yeah.
Councilmember Becker is a D. Okay. Move on to the next one. Mayor Gillmor.
Yes,
oh, sorry. Did you anything else you wanted to comment on this one before? I
was going to say you don't have to do D quite like that.
Okay, D. No. It's like sorry.
Right, so the mayor, I think, in large part, took this as an opportunity to actually try to improve the council. So the 6 recommendations are pretty impressive and pretty thorough. The thing I don't like about this is the first sentence says that it clearly documents violations of law. And I don't think that that's true. It doesn't clearly document violations of law, which is why the police chief has asked the district attorney to investigate whether laws have been broken. So that first sentence isn't correct.
And unfortunately, Tom, just so you know, the upper right corner, which is where that sentence is highlighted, is probably covered up with video. So
okay.
They might not be able to see that, but the letter, just if you could read the sentence.
Yeah, it says
so
the civil grand jury report clearly documents violations of law and the potential for corruption. It's a sad day for Santa Clara and a wake-up call that says we need to clean up the city. That's the first sentence. It doesn't clearly document a violation of law, but it does clearly identify potential for corruption. That's different from having broken a law.
Gotcha. Okay. And
but
the bulk
of what's here is very good. So I gave this a B.
A B. Okay. And next, interim city attorney report or letter.
Yeah, and I don't think most people have seen this, but it's basically saying that in the first paragraph, in the third paragraph, it's saying that the 2 days that the grand jury, by its regular practice, the 2 days it gave the city weren't enough to do all the material that to gather all the material that the city could potentially have gathered. But the city has 90 days to do that, right? So if it disagrees with the conclusions of the report, there's an opportunity to present that. But there's something about the way that the city attorney is approaching this. He is clearly describing what the law is, but he's also giving his opinion about that law, that it's not enough and all of that. And I think that provides perhaps a little too much cover, and it is maybe tilted a little bit in the direction that I question or I wonder about. The other thing that's in here is the city staff is not going to be able to really get to this material, to have the time to prepare for quite a long time. Toward the middle or the end of the 90 days is what it looks like to me, and not by the October 18th, 2022 meeting. And I really think, since the city is the attorney's client, that the city has a real interest in having some material earlier than 90 days from now. So
and to do something like this is a top priority for the city to deal with. Like, this is again, yes. The city's on fire, house is on fire. We need to put the fire out immediately with resources.
Right, but this is a pretty typical approach from a city. It's very careful. It doesn't want to be rushed, and that's consistent with the way the city operates, and virtually every city operates.
All right, and the grade you gave them?
I gave them a C.
A C. Okay. Yeah. And next, Chief Nikolai, Chief of Police Nikolai.
Yeah, yesterday we called this courageous, and I think it really is very courageous. And the thing that strikes me about this is that the chief in about the third paragraph, is talking about how anybody who takes this action, like he has, becomes a target of the 49ers. Now, whether that's actually true or not, That's the perception that's out there. And that's his perception of this. And in spite of that, he steps up and he sends the document to the district attorney. And I think that's very courageous. And I think it's very consistent with what his job is and what his responsibilities and ethics are.
And you graded him?
I gave him an A.
An A. Okay. And next, related companies.
Yeah, the related companies, I haven't seen yet the ads that independent expenditure committee is producing. We haven't seen that yet. But it seems to me that the related company is taking a slower approach to this. And I'm hoping that that will mean that they are trying to follow the Code of Fair Campaign Practices. We don't know that yet, but we want to applaud them for giving some money to the mayor to try to balance off the money that's been given by the 49ers. Although the difference in money is significant, but at least it begins to level the playing field a little bit for these candidates. And that's a good thing.
And
But we
so
have
the
to
grade
wait
you
and
gave
see.
them?
I gave them a B
A
for
B.
right now.
Okay, for now. Maybe I should have like a little asterisk next to it.
Yeah,
B
that's
for
right.
now.
Yeah.
Okay, and the final one is the Bartolo Corporation and affiliated entities, including the 49ers Football Company, LLC.
Yeah, and you know, when I keep seeing these ads and I keep thinking, wouldn't it be great if these ads were really exploring the policy positions that these people have, but they don't, right? So all they're doing is the same type of ad that we've seen hundreds of times, thousands of times from the national politicians, where it basically is attacking the character and the decisions of someone else who's the opponent. And there's not very much truth, but there's a lot of emotion and negative emotion that these kinds of ads produce. And imagine if the money was going towards something that actually gave information, true information, to the city residents who are going to make a decision about voting, right? And that's the thing. The purpose of a campaign like this is to give information to voters so that they can elect a council they trust. And these kinds of ads are typical, but not helpful for the city here.
And the grade you gave them?
I gave them an F.
F.
Yep.
Okay. That is all we're going to cover today. This is our last slide review. Again, Tom, I wanted to thank you for taking time on a Saturday. This is a kind of unscheduled, unprompted kind of, we did grades before, but with the last couple of episodes, we didn't do any grading. And so you wanted to kind of capture all of those in the response to the grand jury report and kind of what's happening over the last week or 2 weeks or something like that.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you. And everybody enjoy the rest of their weekend. And we'll see you on Tuesday at 1:30.
Have an ethical day. Have an ethical day.
All right.
Okay.